Hi, welcome everyone. You're watching LinkedIn Live. Hi, Ayush. Meeting you here in LinkedIn Live is fun as well. For the rest of you, I'm Shashank. I have about 20 years experience in retail, including a decade of that in one of the largest scale omni-channel operations, where I've spent part building online pickup and delivery models, smart substitutions, and some other similar omni-channel initiatives. My focus has been about execution at scale, how digital demand, physical inventory, workflows all come together. Quick introduction from you, please.
Thanks, Shashank. We obviously keep chatting for the entire day. We're good to actually meet you in a formal setting here on LinkedIn Live. For the uninitiated, my name is Ayush Jha. I'm a key accounts leader for the retail vertical at MathCo. I'm based out of Bay Area, California. In the capacity of that role of mine at MathCo, I've had the privilege of helping a lot of market retail leaders to enable them for making faster and better decisions by leveraging data, AI, and commercial execution on the ground, and at the same time protecting their margins or bottom line. So good to be here and looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, thanks, Ayush. Ayush, today on LinkedIn Live, one of the things we wanted to cover was retail in 2026, right?
Sure.
So let me start off by me asking you a question. So after multiple retail cycles and scaled omni-channel expansions, I have seen that there is a gap between outperformers and the rest of them. Do you also see a gap forming, and do you see that gap widening? If so, what do you think it is?
The short answer is yes. And the way I'm observing it is that, and I will kind of detail this out of where I'm coming from. I kind of see that outperformers actually run with a very clear intent of speed to value as compared to the ones which are merely keeping pace. And what I mean by that is retailers who are outperforming, they actually run a learning operating system on the ground, right? Which means that tighter feedback loops, faster decisions, uh, very quick and targeted kind of, for example, let's say promos running, discounting running, and not really a blanket discounting and whatnot. So that's really one. Second, I think the outperformers also kind of believe inherently in the fact that they need to operationalize the customer trust, which means that when a customer is actually shopping with you, they are not really touching your org hierarchy. All they touch is your product. And all they care about is if the product is in stock, if it is out of stock, if the delivery time seems to be, the lead time for delivery seems to be realistic versus what their expectation would be. If there is friction in pre sales, if there is friction in post sale services, right? And the retailers who are really outperforming focus on some of these key aspects to ensure that they are ahead of the curve. So that's really second. Third is I also kind of feel that outperformers connect decisions end to end. And what I mean by that is they don't run any siloed cameos, right? They don't run a marketing initiative here, they don't run a store initiative there. Any initiative that they run, in short, actually connects across the board, starting from planning to processing, to execution, to delivery to the customer, to ensuring there is NPS CSAT, kind of ensured that they receive from the customer and whatnot, right? So those are really the different aspects in which I kind of feel that outperformers are actually way ahead of the curve compared to the ones who are just keeping pace. TLDR, what I just said, I think the outperformers are not really just merely digital. I think they are more executable in that sense, or they have a bias for action organically, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That actually brings me to an interesting topic, Sashank.
Hmm.
2026, what are the couple of shifts that you actually think will reshape retail, and what does that look like from the execution standpoint?
Okay, a couple of shifts in 2026. What does that look like? What does it mean from execution? See, there of course are many shifts. Two trends that I think will define 2026, in my opinion. One is AI is no longer in the experimentation phase, right? I think AI will now be leveraged for infrastructure. So in high volume retail environments, AI is not about content creation. It's not about insight summary generation. While all of that will be there, but I think having AI in more robust structural places, like having it embedded in replacement logic, for example, having it for substitution decisioning, for real time exceptional handling, right? All of this, which will improve decision velocity or decision clarity. So, AI for decision clarity through infra, I think, is one trend. The other place I would say is customer experience, right? See, customer experience, I think going forward will be mostly about fulfillment reliability, right? You know, working in large scale online pickup and delivery in the omni channel ecosystems, what we quickly learn is customers care deeply about, is their order available? Is it accurately available? Is it ready when they pull up the curbside for their pickup? Do the substitutions make sense? So if you see, all of these metrics invariably roll up under fulfillment. So customer experience is more about fulfillment, since most of us retailers have got the digital journey part figured out, right? So uh, I think these two themes. So if I were to summarize, right, AI for infrastructure for better decision making. Two, customer experience being more about fulfillment. I think these two would be the themes, I think, for 2026. Right. So, since you asked me about 2026 themes shifts, if I were to use it to ask you something that maybe up till now made sense, but maybe it's about time to give up that going forward into 2020. Do you see any such theme or program or direction that you think either has less ROI or is less relevant going forward?
I think in the post Gen AI era, where there's a lot of focus on operational efficiency and thereby experience that you can afford is actually getting cheaper day by day, right? And that's how the standard of experience is actually going just up and up. I think one thing that is very clear, which is very quietly fading away, is the fact that loyalty of the retailers for the customers, right? Even if you kind of think about it in the program bucket, loyalty is just a program, right? It is no more, that is what I'm seeing. Very interestingly, I'm having some of these similar conversations as latest as in the last 2 weeks with some of my marquee accounts.
Mhm.
uh, but it is just one where I kind of feel that in the pre-gen era, if I have to differentiate, loyalty was being treated as if you build points and perks, we are sorted, right? I don't think it is that anymore.
Mhm.
Customers don't just join loyalty, they experience loyalty, right? And there are different aspects to it. If you actually start thinking about it at a tactical level, the customers from the experience standpoint are actually looking at frictionless shopping. They're looking at the fact that, do you actually recognize me across channels? Do you
Mhm.
actually recognize me enough to make smart defaults for me? Do you actually ensure that I don't have to fight for what really I want and how really I want it? So, in that sense, I kind of feel that loyalty being a program as a belief is getting replaced with loyalty being a utility plus recognition tool or mechanism for the customers. The end output or the byproduct of which is really the experience that the customer receives, right? Uh, if you come to like think about it from the execution standpoint, it means that your loyalty leader can't be just sitting in one business unit or one function, let's say hypothetically marketing, right? It has to connect across the board. Second is loyalty is an operating model across multiple facets if you come to think about it, like pricing, inventory, returns, delivery, services, all of that. So in short, I kind of feel that the points that the customers actually receive or the perks that the customer actually receive, those are merely the receipt of the experience that they receive by joining the loyalty program, right? Those are not really the main product that they are looking at. That's a quick one that I think is getting replaced in the market.
Interesting. Loyalty is what you're saying is that's very interesting. You're saying loyalty is utility plus recognition. That's what
Yes.
the customers truly care. Got it.
Yes.
Got
That actually brings me to a interesting topic.
it. Hmm.
As most of these retailers have started their fiscal year from February, uh, retailers CPG, if you will. I think one of the key things that I would like to hear from you is
Hmm.
why do like most of these retailers still struggle after having so much on ground? Why do they still struggle? What is it really that is not working out? Is it really low confidence in the data foundations that they have? Are there shaky decisions being made? Is there not a tighter feedback loop or decision making process that is hurting them? What really is the root cause?
Got it. See, I think, see, strategy or strategic initiatives don't necessarily fail because they are bad strategy, right? I think strategy is made at a 30,000 feet level, and your operator at store is 3 feet away from the customer. So translating that strategy into a operation plan or execution plan, I think usually failure happens at one of those points, right? That's in my opinion. See, across large retail transformations, right? Um, Workflow redesigning. So if you have a strategy which makes sense on paper for one team, but then it's now four more things in the process for some other team, it then those creates friction, right? Retail is, as you know, unforgiving at scale. In peak season volume, small process flaws cost tremendously from margin front. Inventory integrity, if it slips, substitution quality goes down, which then impacts your customer experience. If labor alignment breaks, pickup readiness, drops. If governance is unclear, then these overrides will have a huge impact on profitability. So execution architecture and not strategy, I think, is usually the failure. I think.
Makes sense.
So I see. Since you asked about failure point, right? Most of the things that we spoke about now is what retailers want to go towards aspiration, right? We want to have AI and infrastructure. We want to have better decisions. We want to focus on customer experience. We want to have loyalty, which gives you. But when leaders are under pressure, they default to some metrics that they are comfortable with, right? It could be top line, it could be bottom line. What do you think, right? What do you think is very costly, or let me put it this way: what do you think is the costliest default move that leaders can make when under pressure?
Okay. Before I answer that, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but this is again fresh off the boat for me. Very, very active conversations as recent as again last couple of months. But I think one default move is really leaning too hard on discounting, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Where you don't really have a very concrete strategy, a very concrete outcome attached to discounting.
Hmm.
It starts hurting you in multiple ways, right? If you come to think about it, number one, it sets up a wrong precedence for your customers, where your customers actually get retrained to
Hmm.
wait for the prices to drop or the discounts to come in, right? It is not just hurting your bottom line or margin at that point, it is also making you lose from your pricing power in the market, right? So that's really one.
Hmm.
Second is I also kind of feel that it brushes a lot of real problems under the carpet, right? Come to think about it from the customer promise standpoint, right? You talk about in stock, you talk about inventory, you talk about returns, you talk about services, you talk about planning, you talk about, for example, your lead time from your suppliers, right? All of that gets brushed under the carpet just because you're front ending and making all of them being front ended by heavily, heavily discounting without like any concrete strategy around it. So that's really second. Third, the biggest one for me personally, if I would be a retail leader in that fashion, is that it actually eats into the exact fuel that you need in order to amplify your top line. If you
Hmm.
think about it, it hurts your bottom line to an extent where you might not have enough mindshare focus, the least of the resources to start with, to start investing into the things which will help your top line, be it about your capabilities, be it about your services, or be it about your on ground execution of how the products are in stock, how the products are being delivered, how the customer experience is being elevated, and all of that. So that's how I kind of feel that if you think about it, leaders need to have a precision value attached to discounting instead
Hmm.
of having and treating discounting really as a blanket value thing, right?
Treat it as a very precise tool, not. Uh,
Yes, yes. I mean, in that sense, if you think about it, like targeted offers, right? Ensuring that there is a quantified outcome attached to it. There
hmm.
are proper guardrails around what is being discounted. I mean, I will go to the extent of saying that the SKUs that are being discounted, how much and how for how long, is that localized, is that hyper personalized, and whatnot, right? So, I mean, the TLDR of this is if you come to think about it, you're trying to protect your margin by
Hmm.
fixing the customer promise in the first place, not by buying sales in the market.
Hmm.
That would be my like 2 cents of probably the costliest default move and how you can help mitigate that in a very, very organic fashion.
God.
That actually brings me to my next topic, Sashank. As I think about 2026 and the CPG retail space in short,
Hmm.
what is that one growth lever that you think the retailer should prioritize this year, and what would success for that look like in measurable terms?
So one lever to prioritize, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
So see, God, one lever to prioritize. So I mean, it's connected back to what I think, which is uh, beat AI for infra to enable scale, which enables fulfillment, which then enables customer experience, which then enables retention, acquisition, top line, bottom line. So then, what is that one thing, one lever, or that one thing which is crucial? I think is then managing your inventory integrity and availability. So in omni-channel retail models, inventory accuracy, in my opinion, is not just a store KPI. That is the backbone which feeds everything. Uh, right? Think about it. Substitution quality, right, is a proxy for inventory discipline. So anytime availability goes wrong at any stage, right, there's an impact on conversion. There's an impact on labor cost. Your recovery cost goes up. Customer trust erodes. So all of this somehow ties back to how you manage, how you access, manage, and act upon your inventory integrity and availability. And so organizations that then institutionalize inventory governance, I think, are going to go ahead. Who are going to use that one lever, I think we'll do good for that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. So let's, if you were to do a 30-60-90, right? How do we get this? How do we get this going? Right? How do we make this actionable? So if you were to help with a 30-60-90 plan to start or double click on the momentum, what do you think is going to be that 30-60-90?
Perfect. I think I might start sounding like a broken record at this point of time, but one thing that I'm still hung up on is customer promise. And from that aspect, a very tactical one for me would be setting up a customer promise war room, right? First of
Hmm.
all, one that is operational, not really performative.
Hmm.
Um, and then from that perspective, if I have to kind of think about it in a 30-60-90 format in terms of the tactical to-dos on the ground, right? Or activities that needs to follow, I think you pick up one metric to fix or stabilize, right?
Hmm.
For example, you think about percentage of pickups, right? In 2 hours, right? Pickup rate in 2 hours, delivery in 2 days, in stock from your top suppliers and whatnot, right? So you can pick any of them. The key is really to pick one, which is the most concerning, The most complicated one, I mean, I would be happy to kind of pick one that is more complicated to that extent, but pick one and not really three or five. Okay. Focus on one to start with. Now, let's say if you have picked pickup ready in 2 hours, start with 3 to 5 matrices to start measuring it. And I will talk about the frequency and the recurrence of measuring this, but pick up like 3 to 5 matrices. Again, don't focus on a lot on your gamut of whatever matrices and KPIs and OKRs and all that. But think about if you're picking up pickup, you should start very tactically measuring on the ground what is my percentage pickup ready really in 2 hours with the promise that I'm trying to keep in the market. How
Mhm.
many, what is my cancellation rate due to out of stock, right? How
Yeah.
many of them are really substitution rate for the products which are being substituted, right? For the ones that are being ready for the pickup. What are my common, some of the common themes emerging from my customer surveys, customer feedback, customer complaints that is coming my way? And then you build a faster actionable mechanism to ensure that this is working, which means that the matrices that I just mentioned, you start measuring them literally on a daily, weekly basis, not really monthly and yearly, right? Or half yearly. Second, you build an exception loop around it in order to ensure that all the feedback you're actually gathering from these steps, um, you actually start incorporating all of that learning so that the process itself evolves, right? That's second.
Mhm.
Third is having a very tighter decision flow, right? Where there is exceptional approval in place, where there is user flow management, where there are like approvals happening within hours and whatnot, right? So that's really the third one. I think making progress on this in terms of if you're really looking at it from the 30, 60, 90 lens, making progress on all of this on a daily and a weekly basis and starting to measure, and if you start to evolve this process and starting to tell yourselves how much have you evolved, how much of progress you have made, right? In terms of, again, that end outcome being that one KPI that you picked up in the beginning. Are you one KPI from the customer promise? Are you really like stabilizing it, fixing it, or whatnot, right? How close are you to that outcome? Starting to measure that, starting to learn from that, and starting to like support that process is really, really the key that I think would stand out from the 30, 60, 90 lens. In short, I think there has to be like organic inherent capability for the teams to ensure that they act and they act fast.
God, makes sense. Makes
That,
sense.
Sashank, actually brings me to, probably we have talked about enough about the some of the key themes of 2026. I want to actually end with a statement
Hmm.
uh, which the folks here can actually take back to their teams to really make it actionable on the ground. Uh,
Mhm.
I will put out a statement. I will leave the fill in the blanks. I want you to actually fill that for me, if you will. And the statement is retailers that will win in 2026 will.
Okay, you want me to fill that statement? Retailers that will win in 2026 will.
Yes.
Retailers that will win in 2026 will operationalize, institutionalize the digital promise. Right? What do I mean by that? You align your inventory integrity, your substitution intelligence, your store execution, all through a one platform or a 360 platform, but having one connected system. And the way to do it is by leveraging AI. But I would say the ones who are going to win are those who are going to operationalize their digital promise. So let me, Aish, since you asked me, let me put that back to you. What was it? Retailers in 2026 who are going to win will dash.
We'll run a learning system,
Hmm.
uh, in short, tighter feedback loops and faster decisions, all in pursuit of elevating their customer experience.
God, your sentence was more precise than mine. But
Sure.
Aish, thank you for this. I mean, of course, we continue having our conversations offline. Hopefully, the audience took away something. Happy to hear your feedback, your thoughts. Feel free to comment. Ayush, thank you so much.
Thanks, Shashank. Thank you. Pleasure.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye.